Hello and welcome to the grand finale of Culture Corner 2023. We have been having a fantastic year here on Culture Corner. We started out meeting the team, the JCDC team from across the different parishes, and we were highlighting a number of culture clubs from some schools that some of us probably didn't know anything about, and they have been showcasing how they have been using the whole performance art to build the confidence of their students, and how they have also been using the arts to transform the landscape for students in terms of some of the communities that they're from. We have continued to share with you the different competitions of the JCDC, how you can be a part. We have highlighted a number of the past winners, and this season finale is no different. We are going to be looking at Christmas Culinary Delights and Jonkunnu Joy, and you're in for a real treat as we have our expert chef, JCDC Culinary Arts Competition multiple award winner, Asain Gordon, and she will be guiding us through how we can create Christmas delicacies that will leave your taste buds joyful. And brace yourself as we round out with a magical experience diving into the enchanting world of Jonkunnu with Carlton Walters of Kaya's Jonkunnu Group in St. Mary. I am Winsome, and it's always a pleasure to engage in this space and learn so many different things. If you are new to this space, a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to the members of the Toronto Resource Connector community who have been journeying with us from the inception. Maybe you came on in 2023 or later on. We love to have you here. And remember to subscribe and share so others can learn about the awesome stuff that's going on in our island home, Jamaica. And we have so much to get into, so we are going to get the discussion rolling. And we're starting off with our culinary specialist, Asain Gordon. Welcome, Asain.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. And of course, we are going to take it back in time. We're going to take it from there. Christmas back then, what was that like for you, your family?
Wow, it was great. It is a great memory. Back then when I was small, when my mom always prepare our Christmas breakfast for us. My mom normally prepare Christmas breakfast, and she always do our Christmas pudding and traditional rice and peas and beef and chicken. But the most memory part of my back then Christmas traditional is when my mom normally prepare our breakfast. Our breakfast she always use this big bread that she bought from the bakery in Saint Mary. Um, this bread that shaped like animals.
Mm,
Sometimes they look like duck and alligator, and some
wow.
look like bunny rabbit. And she always carried like three of them, and they were so
Mm,
huge, very big, and like Turk. Some look like turtle, very big. And when she get us around and give us strings of the callaloo, or we strip them and then we cut them up, and then she always use real coconut oil to stir fry that callaloo, and then she cut up those big chunk of bread and give us a really huge size this time. And the good chocolate tea with the alp on top of it, the nice chocolate tea. Oh my God, I can't even imagine tasting it in my mouth. And the
mm,
greatest part is when she was preparing the cake, the fruit cake. Those time my mother never normally know the right measurement. She just throw some sugar, But she was a wise woman. She melt the margarine because those times they didn't normally use butter, but because you have butter and you have margarine. So those times she used to just melt the margarine and gave us into a basin to rub. And when we rub and she passed it through, so my auntie she give it to me next to Conroy, and Conroy auntie she give it to Philip. Philip auntie they give it to Georgia, Georgia auntie give it to Koala. We rotate same way. But when it reach it, I get smooth, me always TP out. We eat. And so we rub it around. I just taste with the grain and the sugar there more I rub it some man. I mean, the mama come and she asks us for it and then she mix everything. She didn't use any mixer in her blender. Everything she used her and then she cut up the raisin them. She cut them up fine with her and then she mixed everything in and then she didn't have any oven at that time. So she used to put on a big pot onto the fire like a Dutch pot, and then she
Right.
grease and powder the flour into the pan, and she pour it the mixture in, and she put it on the stove for steaming. And I'm telling you something, man,
Oh,
that it was delicious, delicious.
Saint Gordon, your phone is ringing. Your phone is ringing at Saint Gordon. Please pick up your phone.
oh Lord.
And I am
Yes.
telling you, those days with the rice and peas. My mother used to carry the beef because those meat in St. Mary, St. Mary people have to go to the bush to get the meat. And when you get those meat, you long line and you get the meat and you season the meat. And my mother used to tie the meat in a bag, tie it up. And when she
What?
start, listen to me, man. And she tie in the bag, because she said she have to marinate. And me say when she put on the beef in the pot, and when she slice it up and you have to have curry goat. Those were the days. And my mom used to do the cereal. She do the cereal and she put it on a one dark place. And when she carried that the cereal in, man, may I tell you something? And when she bust it,
Well
those time
cured.
they never used to put rum in the cereal. They just throw the rice grain and cock it and set it aside for a couple weeks. And when you pull it, you wouldn't know that there is no rum inside of it. So those were the days I used to enjoy my childhood days. And up till now, I try to keep on have that same traditional to make my children and my grandchildren know the real richness of Christmas.
Amazing, amazing. And you have learned all those culinary skills and all the trophies in the background, and you're not even seeing a quarter of the trophies that Asain has over there.
A lot, a lot, a lot. I have
Yes.
I have so many trophies. So many trophies.
Wow.
These
Look at
are
that.
there- these is so much. I have trophy in all different categories. I have it in medals. I have it in
Whoa.
I have it in
Oh, you have certificates too.
certificate. Yes, JCDC normally used to one year they gave out certificate as the medals. So we have them. I have them in different types. This is a gold. I love to have
Okay.
gold. I love gold, and that's the reason why I always want to into culinary from I was small because I normally watch my mom and my mom, I always say I want when she come home she can get something to eat because she works so hard. Um,
Wow.
but when I was going to school, I didn't get the opportunity to pursue that career because they say that in those days they say that if you are not in first or second bright you cannot do food and nutrition. But I'm so happy now it is changed. Um, but just imagine if I did get the opportunity to do food and nutrition, I would be I don't know. Maybe no the world could even imagine
Well,
how brilliant I was that time. So that's the reason why I when I'm cooking, I cook different. Anything I'm doing, I just try to be unique, different. So when I came back to St. Mary, a friend of mine introduced me to rather home economics, and where I went to the home economics, I've get to learn about the food, and then they at the group tell me about JCDC culinary art competition. I go to the competition and I see people winning a lot of medal. I said, me want to be like them. And so I go to the workshops that culinary art provided, and that's where I learned the key.
Wow.
I learned the key. I learned how to put things together. And let me tell you something. From the start, when I win the first goal, I never turn back. Right up
Wow.
till 2023 here presently, I have knocked it. I just keep on knocking it. And my recipes are so unique. For persons who can't afford certain things, you can use simple recipe and you have a delicious meal because as a
And
fruit
share the
cake.
Christmas recipe. Yes, share the
Yes,
Christmas
as as
recipe
a
on a budget
as a
with them now.
fruit cake recipe for Christmas. If you don't have enough money to buy raisin and fruits, you can just use your simple red peas. Your simple red peas you
Mm.
have, you just cook your red peas and stir it down with a little sugar, a little wine, and you just chop it together and put it just like a normal fruit cake recipe, and you simply come up with a recipe for your fruit cake. Um, Even I have a lot of fruits around me. I have some star fruits at my house, and what I do with them, I just wash them, cut them up, use some molasses, and strew them, and they come just like prune. So we can utilize what around us. You understand? We don't have to go and buy all these other expensive ingredients. Just use what we have. And if you don't have money to buy sorrel and the shoe black flowers, this is the shoe black flowers. You just pick out the stem, remove the back from right here, and you boil hot water, the boiled water, and you had your ginger same way. If you don't have ginger, you had piece of pepper. Drop it in there,
Mm.
cover it, allow it to draw, you throw it out, then you add some lime juice to it, lick and just sweeten it. And you don't miss anything. If you don't have ginger, use piece of pepper. If you don't have sorrel, use the flowers. And this flower is very, very have a lot of health benefit. You understand? For instance, the other day, if you don't like traditional recipe fruit cake, you can make a pudding. You can use the other day I use rye plantain, half rye plantain, blend it and make a pudding just like how you do sweet potato pudding. So these are things that you can use right around you and have healthy meals. It's just the same. You don't have to go
Wow.
in the supermarket to purchase these things. You just what you have around you, you just use them.
And we used to chop down the shoe block hibiscus for
Right. Um,
right?
I think
Right. What
last month I did a workshop in St. Anne and show them how the shoe black flowers can be utilized as a drink. And let me tell you something. There was over 150 persons were there, children were there, and they were like shocked. Oh, I don't want to taste it. And I said, come. And when I drink it and then come and them taste it, the line no stop until the two drug women have finished. And even when it finished, person come and say, Miss, can we get some more? And I was coming up in one of the bus with the student them, and the people them stop the bus and go pick the flowers and say, "My can't them go make them drink." Listen to me. We have Jamaica is so blessed. Jamaica is so blessed. We have things around us. Even if you don't have enough money to buy fruits again, I do a ackee fruit cake the other day and take it to Portland, and I didn't have enough hand to serve it. Person was saying, "Oh, this is not ackee." and it worked. It you could. It was so moist and delicious. And I did ackee fruit punch. If you don't have money to, how you want to go and make eggnog, you use the ackee. You boil the ackee, open ackee, you boil it, you strain it. You use a tin of condensed milk. You use 2 cup of cooked ackee, a cup of sugar, um, a quarter cup of rum, white rum, a pinch of salt, a little vanilla, couple cube of ice, put it in the blender, blend until smooth. And listen to me, you have to pay for this recipe. It is so delicious.
That's right.
Persons keep coming back, coming back. Listen, I have over 1,000 recipe. Have over 1,000 recipe. I use everything around me. If it's jackfruit, I use it. I have a jackfruit fruit cake. Well, I use a jackfruit seed and also the flesh of the jackfruit.
Mm,
Gold medal. When it comes to fruit cake for me, always gold medal. So there are things around you. You have mango, you have plantain, you have dasheen, whatever you. But remember, when you're using the butter and the margarine is from plant and butter is from animal. When you mix both of them together, that's when the flavors popped out. So you have to
wow.
know exactly what you're doing. Persons baking cake and then just use margarine and expect to get the same flavor. You won't get the
Mm,
same flavor. And when you're baking cake, the best wine to make cake is red label wine. That is our traditional wine for baking cake. And we good red and never white rum. If you're not using those things, you won't get the quality. Even if you go cheap, you have to have certain quality to elevate the flavors. So that's just for me. I always want the best. So no care what's around me. If I get a piece of yam and I'm saying I'm going to make a fruit cake, me just cut it up and me just stew it down and then me just make what I'm making. So for me, it's just easy going. Eat what's around you.
amazing. Wow. we could listen to you all evening, but
Yes.
we have some more excitement coming up. But don't go anywhere. We want to hear some more from you. And remember, you can share your comments. Share what's your favorite recipe for Christmas, and take us back in time. What was your favorite back then? Share with us in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have a question for a saying, go ahead and post your question and we will get her to respond. Hi, Mrs. Grant. Good to thank you for joining. All right, go ahead and ask your question, Renika. She love Miss Gordon. Renika Dennis. Renika, go ahead and type your question. We'll take your question. All right. So while you're typing your question, we are going to bring on the Jonkunnu Joy Master.
Woo!
All right. I'm saying what's going on with your camera. All right. I'm bringing him on while you're on screen because Asane was sharing with me that she's played a character in the John Connor group. It was just so fascinating to learn that both of you are from St. Mary. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, one moment. Let's take this question for Asane before we switch over to John Connor Joy. When did you cook your first meal, Miss Gordon? I guess it's what age?
When I was 12. And that's the first time I learned how to cook rice.
Oh, that rice thing takes a while, eh?
Um,
Okay, she wants to know what was your parents' reaction.
my mom, I always love to ask questions. So she told me that when you're cooking rice and put the rice, after you pick the rice, because those days you have to pick the rice. When you pick the rice and wash the rice and you boil the water, you put the butter inside, you put a piece of scallion inside, and you measure the rice from the water. You make sure the rice does not pass this measurement of your feet, 1 inch above the water. So when
Yes.
it's 1 inch above the water, that's when you get a very shelly rice. And my mom love a shelly rice. So the first time I cooked rice, it was shelly. Um, but there was a disaster. There was a disaster the first time I boiled porridge.
Or did you get those lumps?
No, 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 no. The first time I boiled porridge, I love rice porridge. And my dad
Ooh.
always boiled rice porridge. And I watched him put everything in the porridge when he sweetened it. But I didn't know it was certain things that go inside the porridge. So one Saturday I said I'm gonna boil porridge for my siblings. So I boil the porridge, I get the milk, I get the milk powder, I put everything supposed to put in there. So I thought my father put everything on the shelf in the porridge. So I put everything on the shelf in the porridge. And I set the table out and get the bread and call my brothers and say, come, the porridge ready. And then them taste the porridge. And when they taste it, they said, porridge, it tastes that way. I said, no, it tastes that the porridge. Everything we put in, I could put in there. And when me taste the porridge, may I tell you, garlic powder, onion powder, curry, black pepper, everything I put in the porridge. And that's where I learned to develop the sense of smelling things, like smell the difference,
Mm,
what smell like porridge, put it over there, and then we reboil the porridge. I reboil the porridge, and I get it corrected that time.
that's right. There's always a lesson.
That's
And
right.
the important thing is to take the lesson and run with it. All right. Jermaine Reed is asking if your kids cook as well as you do.
Oh, yes. I have 3 kids, and they have three different character. My son, he cooks well, but he take the part of garnishing. When he cooks a meal and he's plating it, it's beautiful.
Mm,
My eldest daughter, she take the baking part of my character. She can bake very well, and my smallest daughter, she can cook very well. So yes, and my
awesome.
grandchildren are learning just the same.
Amazing. Talk about keeping the heritage alive. That's how you do it, right? That's three
Indeed,
generations
indeed,
there. It's passing on the tradition, and that's what JCDC is all about, unearthing and preserving our cultural heritage, and that is so beautiful. Oh my
indeed,
goodness.
indeed.
I'm saying we're gonna have to get you back on here one of these days.
You can have me anytime.
Oh, thank you. All right. So we are going to make way for Carlton Walters or Jonkunnu Joy Master in the midst. I say, don't go anywhere. You'll be back on to do the wrap up. All right. So, Carlton, we're going to do the
Greetings,
same thing.
greetings,
Take us back.
greetings.
Welcome to the space. I'm just so
Yes,
excited.
yes,
You all got me pumped up even before I came on here from the initial
yes, definitely.
conversation. Right.
Yes,
And I, for one, want to learn more about John Kuno because they're with the different characters and the stories that we've heard. I've never seen a performance live, just on screen. So I want to learn more, and I'm sure the viewers want to learn more as well about John Kuno. But take us back. What was John Kuno like growing up? What was it like for you?
okay. Greetings to everyone across the world, whatever time it is, in your country or in your space. Sorry. You can hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, as a little child, about 7 years old, you know, I was at my home, and I could hear this sound. It seemed as if I have an ear for it, because even when I told my brothers, 2 brothers that I follow, they were like, you hear something and we don't hear it. And it was like about 7 minutes after, I said, "You don't hear that?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then across the hillside, you could hear the excitement of the people saying, "Jonkunnu a come." Some people would say, "Masquerade, masquerade a come." You know, so
Mhm.
masquerade is a patois word of the word masquerade. And then
Yes.
everyone would make them way down to the main road to see the Jonkunnu. So at this time, my two brothers that I follow, they went down, and I heard the excitement. I was in the home, heard the excitement, but I was a little bit curious, but also a little bit scared, you know. So I built up my courage and started to make my way down there because, yeah, the younger ones always follow the older ones, everything that
Right.
they're doing, copying it. And on my way going down, there is a turn before you can see the main road. And as soon as I make that turn in the path, I saw people start to run back up the lane, you know, and I started to run back home too. And when I take a stop, my two brothers run past me, and that was time I started to shake, started to shake, started to bawl. And when I reach at home, I run straight underneath the bed, and under the bed, shivering, 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 and I could see the Jonkunnu man foot inside of the house moving around in the house, you know. And
Wow.
about 5 minutes after he
Scary.
left, yeah, was so scary. This
Yes.
was
So
I was
yes.
7 years old at that time, and as as he left, I saw my mother and I heard my mother's voice, you know, and
Yes.
I came out and was telling her about what happened, and she didn't really say too much, and it was just a few years ago when I bring up back the story. She said she was the one who paid them to scare us,
Oh, what the
you
mommy.
know. So from there on, whenever time we misbehave, she wouldn't draw for the belt anymore. She would draw for the John Kuno. I'm gonna call it John Kuno and you guys, you know, and
Yes,
and
because
then
when
we
we
would
hear
be
the story about John Coonan, that's what we hear. It's
yeah,
scary. Right,
yeah, and we would behave
right,
ourselves. You
right.
know, about
Share
a
with us
year,
both. Yes, go ahead and share, and then
about a
share with
year,
us. Yes.
yes, about a year after that, my father brought home a fife, you know, bamboo fife,
Okay.
and
Uh,
one morning while he was having breakfast, he took it out of his jacket pocket and started trying to play it, but he didn't have the patience. So he put it back in his jacket pocket, went away. My two brothers took it out, and trying to play it, and they couldn't play it, and they put it back and told me not to trouble it because it is fragile, it's bamboo, and if it break, they are gonna get into trouble.
right.
So that was about after 9, and I wanted to go get a try, and I would have to wait and wait until to 12 before them leave the yard. And I took it up and I blow in it. I blow and blow and blow, and the fourth time when I blow in it, I get a sound. And I was like, all of them try and they didn't get it, but I get it, you know. And from
Yes.
that, and from that year until 4 years, I started to get dreams about the ancestors.
Mm.
These were our enslaved ancestors. They would wake me up in the wee hours of the morning, like in 2 o'clock, 2:30, and I would be sleepwalking, open the door and went outside on the porch with my eyes closed, and been out there for a while. I didn't see anything. The whole place was dark until they appeared before me, reveal themselves, and they said, "Don't be afraid," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took me around the yard, and they must have spoken a different language, because what they do is face expression and body language. They look at me and they look on the drum. They look at me and they look on the props, and because they
Right.
want me to observe them. you know. So after that 4 year period, at the age of 13, was when I joined the Jonkunnu group. This was the group that my father was the chief for. Because in those times, right here in Port Maria and the surrounding St. Mary, there were Jonkunnu group in every district.
Ooh.
Every district. If you can name any district in and around Port Maria, there were a Jonkunnu group. And it happened that for some reason, these groups submerged, and then you have different members from these group would come together and
Right.
form one big group in Port Maria, in the capital. And that was the group that I was in. I was playing the bass drum. This was 1968, 1986.
Okay.
And
There.
how old am I? 1968. So while going through the district, we would meet with different Jonkunnu group, but these groups, you could tell that they were like, dissipating, because you didn't have the full group. You'd have like 5 persons in this group, and that group,
Right.
you know.
So how was it changed? How have you seen it change from back then compared to now? What are some of the changes? But before you even get to that part, the whole concept of this being a demonic practice, the whole, but talk to us about that and this real significance of the whole Jonkunnu. What is it really all about?
Jonkunnu, all right, throughout this period of time, when I was 4 year period, I was getting these visions and dreams and was sleepwalking. I haven't seen any practice like what I have read. How they reveal themselves to me. What they were about is some kind of protest or some kind of war. I don't know if it was the war was, you know, with the slave masters or what, but they were training me to join with them in this fight. You know,
Mhm.
they weren't like doing any form of chanting or any blood sacrifice or anything like this that you heard many of these Europeans write about, and talking about. But I think the reason for this was during the period of time when these missionaries, they would go into various places and try to change the narrative about, what the way all the native operates, you know. So everything is sorcery and demonic, and savage to them, you know.
Right. But what really is the Jonkunnu activities all about? What's the real significance?
Jonkunnu. Jonkunnu is putting on a play, just like you go to the theater to watch a roots play or just to watch performing arts in a theater. That's what Jonkunnu is, you know. And even in Africa, it is the same thing in Africa. Almost every tribe in Africa, they do the same thing, you know. The playing of the drums. Some use the seashell, some use bell, some use fife, some use conch shell. Um, the Nigerian, they use a thing. We use the fife. They use a thing they call uja, which is built out of a piece of a branch that they would use at iron to bore a channel through it,
Right.
and then other holes is bored to change the tune.
Okay. All right. So how has it changed? Paradise. It, I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce the last name, Paradise. So I'll just say Paradise. Says John Kunni is not the same anymore. Each community has their own group. Children nowadays aren't afraid of them. So tell us
Yeah,
what
that's
some of
true.
those changes look like.
That's true. The scare factor is it is losing its scare factor. One of the reasons for that is social media, satellite, cable, with the scare movie, and Halloween on a whole. Because even in my group, if I don't stand up strong, we lose the authenticity of John Kuno. Because the young people today, they want to mix it. And one of the reasons for that is to try to garner some more support. Because the scarier it is the more people will contribute to it. You know.
Okay. All
And
right.
yeah, John Kuno is not like it used to be.
So what's the
Because
significance then? Why do we need to preserve that
John
heritage?
John Kuno is a rich part of who we are as a African um, root, our African roots. I think we don't really see the importance of John Kuno, but if we were to trace back, we would realize that even our national heroes came from the same enslaved people. Our majority of them came from the same enslaved people, and it was John Kuno that started the fire in their revolution, you know, in order to rebel against a system, you know, that was doing so much atrocity to our kind.
Okay. All right. So let's go into, because the viewers might be wondering what's all that fanfare going on your head and around you. So because Asain was sharing with me that you have over 20 odd characters in this whole
Yes,
the
it's true.
Jonkunnu performances. So take us
Yes.
through some of those and let us know what's the significance of each.
All
So
right. So John Kuno, like I said, is a show, and in a John Kuno group, you have 11 main characters. There are I have some on display around me right now, but I will call them out. So you have the horse head. I wish I could move the camera around to show you the horse head,
yes, you're
because a
doing
lot of times people mistake the different characters. Anyway, okay, so down on the ground here, I have a horse head. I wonder if you can see.
yes, we're seeing. Yes.
Okay, an horse head. And this is different from a house that people mistake. So it's a house John Kuno, and not a horse head, not a house head, but
Oh,
house
okay.
John Kuno. Okay, and then you have the horse head. All right.
Right.
So there's a difference between them. Then you have the actor boy, which the alias Cuckoo, and then you have the Pitchy Patchy.
Yeah.
Now the actor boy is a cross dresser, part man, part female. And in a John Kuno group, um, the characters are worn and performed by male. And there is another story um, behind that. You know, I will get into a little of that. And then you have the Pitchy Patchy.
Okay.
The Pitchy Patchy is said to represent nature itself, the colors, of the various plants, the fruits, and also the color of the soil.
Hmm.
And then you have the devil. Now, the devil depicts everything evil, everything negative in the world. All right. And
Right.
so, and when you see the devil out there performing, just know that um, he is putting on a show. Remember, I told you it's a show. All right. Nothing more than a show. And I'm just saying that because, there are people who demonize it, and it's just a show. Then over here, you have the warrior,
Okay.
and then you have the belly woman. All right. There's a major story about the belly woman. All right. So during these, I'm going to give you a little about it. During the time of slavery on these plantations, the slave masters used to have the pregnant ladies performing on stage for them. Whenever time they send out their coffee and their rum and their sugar abroad, ships sail smooth, no rough sea. They get back news that everything arrives safely, and the leftover rum that they have now, they would use it to celebrate, their success. All right. So they would have the pregnant slave ladies going on stage and dancing for them. And in a pregnant stage, the pregnant ladies are very fragile.
Right.
In this process, some of them would have lost, their unborn. All right. Um, there was a time when the fathers or the husband of these pregnant lady would plan, a strategy, and they decide that we are gonna put on your clothes and we are gonna plan an ambush and try to ambush them. All right. So they did it, and some of them run up into the hills. They would have captured back some of them. Some were tortured, some were killed, but some still live to tell the story. All right.
Right.
There's a little bit more graphic, but I'm
Which,
sensitive to social media, so I won't get into it.
thank
Um,
you.
yes. So this is the cowhead, and this is an African element. The reason why Jonkunnu is, as the ancestors would said to me back then as a child, he said, once upon a time in Africa, in the ancient years, the elders would gather around a bonfire. The fire was running out, so they send the children to go fetch firewood. On their way back, one of the older child took up the carcass of a cow that they have eaten years before and put it upon his head and gave the younger ones a scare all the way back to the village. The elders sitting around the fire saw it and laughed about it, and dear Jonkunnu was born.
Mm. Wow.
That's something that they told me. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there is the policeman. The role of the policeman in the Jonkunnu is to keep the order. Back then he would back off the crowd so that the dancers could get space to dance. All right. Then there is the actor boy, not the actor boy, the set girls, and there is the wild Indian that I'm wearing right now. A lot of people call it the Indian chief. Okay. Now Jonkunnu is backed by instruments, a bass drum, and a rattling drum. Also a grater.
Well, look up a little more. We're not seeing it now.
Okay.
All
A grater. All right.
right.
And last but not least, a fife. Now, like I said before, in different African countries, they use different things. Some use bell, those small bell that they tie around their legs, and some use like shell. Some use this thing like in Nigeria. Um, what they use is called uja. You can look it up. You can type in the word uja and you will see it there. Okay.
Wow. That's a whole production right there. And as you shared, I could hear the different characters and the
Yes.
significance of each. But one would ask though, based on where, just a moment, based on where the belly woman is coming from and the whole scenario surrounding that, why would you want to keep that alive?
Because it reminds us of what happened. You cannot forget the past. And the past can only make you stronger. You know.
Great
To add,
response.
there are different characters that is been created, elsewhere. All right. So
Yes.
in Westmoreland, you would have like the bride, and the groom. I think in between Kingston and St. Thomas, I think they do like the king and queen, and then you have
Okay.
like, yeah, and
All
there are other
right. So
characters out there still.
okay, so each parish have their unique twist, John Kuno.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
So here in St. Mary, what
Anika's
actually
saying that
I
even now
create,
she's still afraid of them.
what I create, the new characters that I create is one called
Okay.
Shaggy, and then there's another one called Feather Flare, and another one called Garqueer. You know,
Okay. What's the story behind those?
they are from dreams.
Oh, okay.
They're from
You got
dreams.
inspiration from
Yeah,
your
yeah,
dreams.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So I know JCDC highlights quite a bit of this as a part of our heritage. Some of the share with us some of the activities, JCDC activities, events that you have been a part of that you have
Um,
showcased.
Fun days, um, festival. I remember there was a time they were trying to rekindle back the Jonkunnu because it was far gone. And so far, even up until this day, there is only like four groups I know.
Hmm.
Four groups. Kingston group, my group, a father group, and one in exchange. That's the border between St. Mary and Ocherius. You know.
Okay. And
Um,
anyone in your lineage that isn't interested in carrying on the tradition?
yes, I train the guys every year. I train them
Okay.
every season, and there are young people also who are interested. You know, primary school children, infant
Okay.
school children. Who are interested in it. So there are times I would go and ask their parents. And I would take terms because it's so much of them. I would take terms. To
Work
with
with them.
each. Yeah.
Right.
Um, I've been into a lot of different event with JCDC like over the past 15 years.
Wow.
I've been
Yeah.
to Cayman Festival, KFS,
Mm.
yeah, and I've been to Institute of Jamaica. That celebration on the waterfront during um, watch night,
Yes.
watch night service. Yeah. The 1st of August, I don't remember what
On the
the name
vigil.
of it heading, but it take place at Ronnie Williams back then. I don't think it's still going on. And then
Oh,
the Independence Village down at National Arena. You know, every year we look forward to that. You know,
okay. All
differently
right.
from that, yeah,
Yeah.
differently from that, we work with the hotels on the North Coast. And whenever time there is no event, then we hit the street because that is the original, the street.
Okay.
The
What's
people.
the reception been like from the tourists when you go to the hotels?
Well, they are excited. They participate. Some of them go wild. Yeah. So it's a part. That part of us that we should really, really pay close attention to and continue try to put it into the mainstream. Because really and truly, um, if you really think, if you really think, you know that every dance move and every music, every genre of music that is created in Jamaica came from Jonkunnu. From the Pocominia to the revival to the mento to the ska to the rock steady to the reggae to the dancehall plus the moves them again. The spin, the roll, and all these things. It came from Jonkunnu.
Oh, yeah, because it's just building on what
Yes,
existed before.
yes,
Yes, and we had
and
that.
it was
We had that on Culture Corner where we went through the music aspects
yes,
of the culture and how our current dance moves and all of that are coming from. They're just variations of
yes,
those original moves.
It came
It's
from our
great.
ancestors,
Yes.
passed on to us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I have been schooled on Jonkunnu, and I know that the viewers, because I've learned quite a bit about what the different characters represent, and
Yes,
to yes, and how it is that you're seeking to preserve their
yes.
heritage and pass it on. Very
To
good
the
to hear
younger
that the
ones.
children are interested in
Yes,
continuing to. And I think one of the things why they're not so scared, it's because they have a better understanding
that's it. That's it.
of it. Because the more
Yes,
your eyes are open to things, the less the
yes,
scare factor is. But back
yes,
then, when you used to hear these stories, it's just a, and that's the whole thing because their parents they were trying to scare you. So
yeah,
they were successful in that. So right now, what we have to do is let them understand why we do what we do, and good that they're still interested in being a part of it. Because you're still gonna have some people like Renika who will still be scared.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, there are a lot of big folks out there that is still scared of John Connor. You know,
Yes.
it's
All
just
right.
like folks are afraid of like a worm. That is so tiny. So
Yes.
the fact that these are mask people wearing masks, you don't know what they're about. You don't understand them.
Yes.
You know, you will be confused if they don't explain what it's about. You will
Right.
live into a world of
Indeed.
confusion. So when you
All
understand,
right.
there goes the clarity change. It changes everything. You know.
That's right. All right. Let's bring back on Asin. Asin, welcome back in the space.
I'm telling you.
When was the
The,
last time you did your Asin performs the belly woman role? Let's put it out there. When was the
um,
last time you did a
when?
performance?
About 3 years back. About 3 years. Can't tell you, remember the time we got to when the stadium was open in Trelawney when we went there?
Yes,
I,
yes,
I
yes,
thought you were
yes,
going to
yes.
say that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
Right.
mm,
Yeah. So
Hmm.
what was the
um,
experience like for you, Asin?
I didn't get it here.
What's the experience been like for
what
you
what the year
performing?
was
Oh, listen. When I am
2007.
dancing Jonkunnu, Carlton can tell you.
Excitement.
I'm a great dancer, and the most expertise in the belly woman is to roll your belly. And when me
Oh,
start roll my belly, and I dance to the five. So the poo poo poo
okay.
poo 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 poo. Your belly have to go and out, in and out, in and out. Roll to the left, roll to the right, roll to the left, roll to the right, move to the left, move to the right. So you have to be, and then you have to move your hands. But
Yeah,
when I'm dancing,
performance is in the belly.
men always wonder if it's a male or a female because most time you have male dancing. So they look at my hands. They look at my hands. And when I go close to them, they look at my hands and say, "Oh, I want woman." So they start dance back. But if they don't realize who is the person, men always keep back. But they will give you your token that they give you. When we dance, they give us money, so they just give us the money and walk out. But some realize say it's a woman that we dance, and I'm a
And
good
start
dancer, so I always just keep dancing. And the the belly woman do not run you down. The belly woman stand and dance. The other
perform. Yeah,
characters will run you down. The cow and the horse, them run you down. I forgot
and you
underneath your bed, them a come. But so that's the thing about me. When I'm dancing and the children come and they start to cry, I said, don't cry. It's a lady. Hi. I didn't realize how they stop crying because sometimes they little heart just pumping out of the chest. And I don't like to see when they cry. So I always talk to them quietly and say, don't cry, man. Don't cry. And they say, oh, they realize it's somebody. So but
Yeah.
I love it. I love see the Jonkunnu dance. And in Port Maria, since the Jonkunnu was in Port Maria and children was just running
Friday last week.
running,
Oh,
running, running, and the taxi just stopped, and it was like a chaos. And everybody was saying, Christmas I come, the Jonkunnu I come, the Christmas I come."
Uh,
So it's a
to
sign
add
to
one,
know that Christmas is coming.
yeah, to add
yes.
one
Go
more
ahead,
thing.
Carl. Yes.
Um, for some people, if they don't see Jonkunnu, they don't see Christmas and they don't enjoy Christmas. And it has been like this for many years. You know, even when it's not the season, people will see you in the street and ask you, when are you guys coming out?
When
You know?
it's a St.
Uh,
Mary thing. St.
Yeah,
Marians love Jonkunnu. And I believe the best Jonkunnu team come from St. Mary. Because even when we went to Kingston and go to the JCDC competition, we have the different Jonkunnu bands come together and we have clash. Remember this Carlton?
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
When we have clash, each character will dance off with each other. And we were the best dancer.
Jonkunnu is originated, were put into practice from the story that came from Africa, Ghana.
Mhm.
It was put into practice right here in Port Maria. You know,
oh, okay. So
even
you have
even even
tradition
Kingston,
alive.
yes, even the Kingston group right now. If you ask Mr. Renford Foster, he will tell you that it's his grand uncle that brought it from St. Mary to Kingston.
Some fascinating things about our history, and it's always great to hear those. So, for those who are tuned in for the first time, whether you're live with us or you're watching the replay, we have a lot more of these cultural sharings in the playlist, so you can indulge in the Culture Corner playlist. We started from 2022, I believe, in
Mhm.
January 2022. So we have 2 years archive there of different activities, competitions, why we do what we do, and why it's important to preserve the culture.
Preserve, yes,
Yeah.
Right. So we can go there.
for the
It's
next
been
generation.
amazing partnering with the JCDC, Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, on this journey to actually showcase and to create this playlist for our archives, so that those who will come after us can hear about a same story, Carlton's story, and be inspired to continue, and why it is that we did what we did back then when they're looking
Mhm.
back,
Right.
right? And to see
Yeah.
why they need to continue, because it's a part of who we are as a people. And who was it that said, if you don't know your past, you don't know your future?
Yes. That is so true.
Marcus Garvey was
Yeah, but Bob Marley sang about it. You
yes.
don't know your past, you don't know your future, right?
Mm.
So let's remember the good times and seek to preserve some of these things. There are some things, as someone wants
Take a little peek.
You see, we're talking about the past and the future.
Yes, the
that's
future is
right. So we're
speaking. The future
passing
is
on.
speaking.
That's
Keeping in
right.
it.
Amazing. So let me thank you both so much for sharing here on Culture Corner. And it's really great to see and hear about your rich experience back then, and how we have sought to keep these cultural, I mean, wisdom, gems, and all this creativity alive, and passing it on to the next generation to come. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for sharing. So we
you
learned
know,
about, one moment
one
we
more
learned
thing.
about operating Christmas culinary on a budget, and this using the things around us. And Carlton would have shared the rich history of Jonkunnu and the joy in it, and what we can get from that. Carlton, go right ahead and share.
Yeah, and John Connor will not die. It will not die. You know, right now I have like about over 80 costume. You
Mm,
know, yeah. Even this week alone, I saw four new ones. Yeah,
okay,
so John Connor
amazing.
will not die. We will pass it on to the next generation. It will not die.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And Carlton has a channel, Carlton Walters, on YouTube. So I'm going to
Yes.
share it in the description, so you can go and see um, how we got involved, more story on how we got involved and why he got involved, and learn more from that. I saying, where can they find you to get some of those awesome delectables that you prepare?
Well, on Facebook, Asani Food, and Instagram, Asani Food. And you can call me at 8820264. Asani Food All Natural.
That's ASSANEY, right?
Yes.
ASSANEY, Asana Food. Thank you all so much, those who are here with us live. Thank you for making the time to share virtual space with us. And for those who are watching the replay, thank you for tuning in. Remember to subscribe, set the notification bell, and share so others can learn about these awesome things. All right. And if you share a snippet, just tag Serenity Resource Connector, and we will write it out and show you some of the characters there for the Jonkunnu. It has been my pleasure serving as their host here on Culture Corner for 2023. And that's a wrap for this year. Enjoy your holidays. But don't forget, we continue every Thursday. So join us again for another discussion here on Serenity Resource Connector, 8 p.m. each Thursday. All right. Take good care.
Bye.